the Battleground pool. Did you have something to add to that?
Not really, other than the fact of how good it is to see them back together
I
as
agree.
this comp and how well they are executing it. Quite frankly, we saw the sign there, good Benny, and that might be a hashtag that might have to start returning there because it is going very well for them. For now, though, Infernal Shrines as the next map.
This is going to be a fun one, because for HeroesHearth, if you think about research material, you don't really have too much to go on when you are looking at Method, and one of the games that you can look at is the previous match that they played there against Dignitas, where they all of a sudden drafted Zarya. So, are you banning that? Are you worried about that? Is that something that even comes to mind? So, for HeroesHearth, this is a really annoying situation, I feel, to play on this map against them now.
And I think it's made more annoying because this is often HeroesHearth's map ban. It's often that they will ban Shrines away, and instead they wanted to take away Battlefield of Eternity. And with that, then they have to go here. The one time that they played it in League play, they busted out the old standard solo Abathur support. Any chance that maybe they can get their hands on the slug?
I mean, Method are going to want it.
Yeah,
So
that's what I thought too.
If it's not banned, I don't know if it is going to be forced into a first pick situation. That's an interesting question, because obviously the solo support Abathur is such a rare situation that you're rarely going to find yourself in, but the threat's always there.
I'm also not the biggest fan of a solo support Abathur on this map in particular. Like, the strategy itself can excel on other maps, I feel, but on Infernal, that wouldn't be one that really comes to mind here. You can really play a bit of a poke war around the objective if you draft a comp that has a lot of front sustain, and that's something that comp would lose in the long run.
Maybe it'll be a solo Dragon support instead, because you gotta keep Alex Straza in mind. But so too do you have to keep ADRD in mind, and there is the Medivh ban. We'll see if they change things up to a Maiev instead, because that Maiev was powerful. Now you know that there are two strong Maiev players on Method. That is a yikes for me.
Yeah, Nick looked absolutely superb on that hero, but also this looked pretty superb on the side of on the side of Aethera Angel, the Yrel. This time though, with first pick being in HeroesHearth's favor, they don't want them to get the Yrel, so we might even end up with Method banning away the Maiev coming up next.
I'm again just curious to see how HeroesHearth is going to act regarding the last match that Method played against Dignitas on this map. Because that was such a cool strategy to see and really designed to win the objective more so than anything else, that I'm really wondering if we are going to see HeroesHearth trying to take parts of that composition away, or maybe draft for themselves here, or how they would react if Method begins to draft a few of these pieces. The thing is that with the first pick on the side of HeroesHearth, I would expect them to go into an early Diablo again, unless Method is now willing to ban him out.
He is very strong on Infernal Shrines, and HeroesHearth's showing that they don't want the Abathur, otherwise they would leave it up and make Method choose from the biggest evil, the scariest thing from them. They'll take Abathur away. Blaze is the choice for Method. Some focus now on another role. Before it was the melee assassins, and now we're looking more at targeting McIntyre.
I quite like this because they basically put themselves in a position where solo laners are starting to get a little bit rare in terms of the top ones. So we had the choice of either they wanted that Diablo or Muradin, or they were going to be able to pick up that Maiev super quick. Because HeroesHearth decided to stick their guns and go with Diablo, Method, if they want to, can now take first pick on the solo laners if they want to, with two of the best solo laners already removed. They have the option for first support, they have the option for the Maiev if they want. They have left themselves so open and flexible for where to go.
You can go into early Auric on the solo lane too. I mean, Maiev could sometimes take that. She can never really win the solo lane. That's usually not happening. So most of the time when you see a Maiev in a situation where you're trying to take the solo lane too, then you are having an Abathur in your composition, which in this draft got already removed. But she can hold it for a little bit if need be, but I still think that there's a good chance that they would draft an additional one. But Maiev taken, Alex Straza as well. So this is already running again into a very control-heavy fighting composition that we're seeing from Method.
Synergy of Alex and Diablo denied, but it still leaves open a synergy that HeroesHearth loves, which is Phoenix and Thrall. And Thrall here can be played by either Arthlon or McIntyre, so they have a lot of flexibility now going into those last two picks, depending on what Method shows in the next few bans and picks.
They also have a potential solo laner now in the form of Thrall and even Phoenix. Phoenix can hold a solo lane if they want to. They've also left themselves themselves very open and flexible moving on. As Method, they can be able to remove that Leoric, so it's very clear that they have an idea for what their solo lane is going to be, as they have already removed 3 of them at this stage, trusting that if it is going to be Thrall or Phoenix, they're okay with that.
I mean, there's a couple of aspects to this. First of all, North America is known to have these triple melee compositions at the front line, and now you eliminate a lot of those options for the last melee pick here. That's one of the thought processes. Also, what I wanted to point out is that the synergy between Diablo and Phoenix was, and still is, extremely popular in Europe. But it's not a must-have, and you're willing to also give it up to your opponent. Because if you look at the draft, what Method could have done is pick Maiev and pick Phoenix with that. And they knew that HeroesHearth would try to go for Phoenix again to get exactly that synergy with the early Diablo pick. But it's just one of those things that you know there is some strength to it, but it's not as OP that you wouldn't be willing to give it up.
But that Leoric ban may end up being a waste, is what I'm trying to say, because HeroesHearth could put McIntyre on Thrall, then they would have Phoenix played by Arthlon, and then still could have a Crow and Hero here. They're very flexible within the Thralls, enough so that I don't think they're too hurt by that, but it is a fair point. HeroesHearth and NA do love their triple melee comps. But look at that melee. Talking about it.
Malthael is something that we do not see a lot in Europe, so that is actually a bit of an adaptation from Method that I didn't really expect here.
With banning out a lot of the tankier solo laners, this is interesting. Like we said, in terms of solo laners, or at least the ones outside of maybe Thrall or Phoenix who could have held it, it was basically Dahaka and kinda Sonya. Those were the heroes who were left who could potentially work on this map. They forced the Dahaka, so the Malthael's going to have a pretty reasonable lane, assuming he is able to dodge the tongue. But we could also see HeroesHearth rotating Phoenix, rotating Thrall. They have a fantastic composition to try and avoid the unbeneficial lane into that Malthael. But I'm also very scared of how effective that Uther is going to be if they're able to drop it onto someone who's going deep. And the Zarya coming in a second time here.
Ranged assassin. No thank you. Method are fully converted. Maiev, Malthael, and Zarya. What I see from HeroesHearth Esports in committing to that Uther, there was one game I saw in North America where an Uther was picked into a Malthael. It worked, but later on, once they had the lockdown of Benediction, the extra heals from that, and HeroesHearth is going to have to be patient if this is their play, because that poison damage is going to be a struggle from Malthael now.
Assuming he can actually apply it. This is sort of almost, like you were sort of alluding to, a bait into perhaps the Tormented Souls. If that's what they want to go for, of course, the Warden's Cage into Tormented Souls could be absolutely ruining if they're able to execute it well enough. But overall, this is still quite interesting. The obscene amount of lockdown it can offer can be really punishing to Maiev, the Uther especially. So as long as he's able to manage his mana, there's a lot of self-sustain on this team. I don't feel too bad about the Uther.
Can't forget about Last Rites versus Diablo too, though. That's
that could be a problem.
Way of resetting souls a few times.
But that's where Uther also, again, comes into play, right? So he can really help out with that. But again, I'm liking what Method has. They do the same thing that they did against Dignitas. They're saying, we want to win the objective. We put all our hopes into winning the objective the entire time. They have with this setup now outside of Alexstrasza also a lot of sustain, so the Haka should try and get the burrow in and the flank against Alex. If that doesn't happen, then I think the chances of Method winning these fights on the Shrine are really, really good.
Well, thank you guys very much. We'll check back in with you after this game. For now, we're going back to Haloran and Jhow for game 2.
Haloran Method likes to keep it spicy because we're going back down the Zarya route, all melee all the time for this team. Method they're doing their own thing.
If I'm McIntyre, these games and these drafts feel more personal than a Steven Seagal action movie because every ban is specifically targeted towards his hero pool. But he's one of the best Dahakas that we have in the region, so I think he feels right at home. And the global pressure that Dahaka brings could be the edge to help HeroesHearth get a win on the board.
I'm more of a JCVD fan, Jean-Claude Van Damme, where, you know, he struggles, goes to a tournament, but then all of a sudden he comes through in the clutch. We'll see if that is going to be HeroesHearth here, but if not, it might just be Method as they continue to disrupt that norm that HeroesHearth has known. And of course, they will be led on that front line by Bad Benny, who #might be good Benny from here on out.
Over on the right side, we've got Ishbu on Diablo. Crone is playing Phoenix. BBJ is on Uther. Arthalon's playing Thrall. McIntyre on Rubber Ducky Dahaka. Let's hear it for HeroesHearth Esports.
HeroesHearth, the crowd behind them. Let's see if that's going to be enough for them to rally as Method with this Zarya composition. It's going to be interesting. I'm really looking forward to. We saw the adaptation from Dahaka in the previous series against Method when they were heavy melee. Going the cooldown reduction at level 7 on your Dark Swarm, making sure that you can use that over and over. And then that armor reduction post level 13. You get that mixed in with the Phoenix, the Purification Salvo with an Earthquake slow or a Lightning Breath slow. I mean, it doesn't matter how much Dragon Queen you have there, that might be enough for a takedown. And oh, by the way, we've got a BBJ there. You assume Divine Shield if there is a Last Rites, but if not, maybe, just maybe, we might be getting that D-Storm action.
There's so much added synergy for this composition for HeroesHearth Esports. But one of the things that I really like for them is when we saw them yesterday going up against Leftovers, they seem to want to fight from beginning, middle, and in the entire series. Right now, we see them immediately commit to going to the 3 lanes. They're looking to soak, they're looking to find their opportunities, they're looking to find their moments, but they're not being overzealous about it, and that means they're not coming at Method in a predicted fashion.
I really wondered if we would get more of the particle grenade build for Zarya or Feel the Heat because there's so much melee on the other side instead. Does give you the capabilities of playing something of a ranged hero. Also gives you more sustained damage, which is something that Uther does struggle against. Getting those grenades out over and over should be easy to stack around the shrine. So ADRD, you know, he's making things work, finding different ways to break up the norm. We'll keep an eye on that as that game goes on, because that could be problematic for the Uther.
Both teams mirroring in their macro decisions. Ishbu stepped out of the bushes, though he wanted to shadow charge in, but Bad Pudding would have been there. There's the overpower, there's the stun, there's the follow-up stun from BBJ. A little bit of damage, Curson throws down a circle. There with the sustain, immediately is Alex Strauss.
Well, they come in and they bring down the global, making sure that they can get control of the neutral camp. You know, one thing that I saw differently there for Ishbu, every time Bad Vinny has found a way, there's going to be the drag and the shield. The stun comes down onto Bad Vinny, in come the heals. The rest of HeroesHearth, they're going to walk away. But the difference that we see Ishbu trying to deal with Bad Vinny, hold on a second. It's another stun. But Ishbu, we saw the stun come in before the slow and then Bad Benny walk away. There's no chance that you're getting that overpower into a charge. And so every time you see Bad Benny, you see Ishbu now. He's trying to be quick on that E key, making sure he can get that flip over into the charge. And so the battle between Ishbu and Bad Benny is very much already being felt in every single rotation whenever they cross paths.
How the frontliners of both of these teams interact is going to be the story between whether one team wins a team fight or not. One of the things I was really impressed with is Dahaka burrows down, Brawl immediately rotates up to the top lane. Their rotations are organic, they're not missing out on any soap. HeroesHearth Esports is definitely keeping a mind out for the macro play.
ADRD, as always, shifting up his build. Speed barrier picked up, so when he does give that shield ally over, will give them the capability of moving somewhat faster. In the previous composition, Method had a Sonya, which had pretty decent clear onto the shrine. This time, it's a Maev and a Malthael. So HeroesHearth willing to forego the first shrine, it appears, to get some advantage elsewhere, knowing that without the Sonya in this composition does take longer to complete.
That gives time for Thrall to clear out the Bruiser camp in the top lane for free. And that rotation down from Method buys enough time for HeroesHearth Esports to potentially even take a run at this objective if they get a takedown or two. There's only 26 defenders. Ishbu's the only one here right now, so it does look like they're not committed at all to going for the first Punisher. On this battleground in the early game, you don't necessarily need to win the objective if you can rotate down and get siege damage like this.
They give them the old fakie, right, where they go down there, they act like, hey, you forced us off the bot lane. That tower's going to remain for a moment. But what ended up happening was McIntyre ended up rotating to the bottom in that Dahaka. He clears the wave, sets his way up. Kroan shows mid, then rotates back down, has the minions in front of him, allows them to do more siege damage. Most of the time, we've seen teams on the first Punisher, especially depending how early, they don't get any bit more than just a fort wall. So for Method, we'll see if they can get more out of that than HeroesHearth got in the bot lane on their side.
There's a lot of beefy health bars to deal with the initial jump over the wall, but this is a Punisher of the arcane variety. And again, only Phoenix is really the anti-siege option for HeroesHearth. McIntyre eats a good amount of damage. Thero's starting to chip away at the tower. They don't go through the small wall, so they're just looking to get a standard amount of value. The arcane Punisher, limbo bars, push back HeroesHearth Esports, but with the Dragon, Team Method is committed.
Yeah, the problem is that HeroesHearth, they did not check their positioning before this happened. They ended up baiting the Punisher before it got to the gate, unable to get it over the wall. So that does enable Method to move forward because that Punisher was not taking keep or fort shots over the wall. Instead, it was just taking those frontline shots, allowing Method to push forward more aggressively. That could, in the later stages of the game, be something that a Punisher can make its way through. Another way for Method to get a decent chunk of experience to stretch their lead. So I think a minor misplay there by HeroesHearth with their positioning.
They were able to save the fort, though. That can be picked up at almost any time for Team Method. The siege camp is going to get snapped away by Team Method. Both of these teams even on experience. Ishbu leading the charge, potentially seeing if he can find someone, but Bad Benny sniffs this out. There was the ping. They spotted him. There's the stun. No follow-up. The Stormbolt is going to miss. Both of these teams are kind of trading barbs right now. They're showing that they're ready to go if the other team makes the first move, but no one's really looking to jump just yet.
We don't have a Urel, but we got a couple of well, Uther, we'll call him a frontliner, wielding some hammers as they're trying to bring down Justice and a Storm to boot. Right now, HeroesHearth still does have a minor XP advantage, only momentarily, but it does show that they have held off well against the first Punisher, even though it was the Arcane Punisher for HeroesHearth. That does allow them to fight on even ground, to get those big heroics, which is where they'll really capitalize. That Earthquake, the Salvo, the Lightning Breath, things of that nature will really be impactful in the team fights. That's where they've got to try and get kills. But ADRD with those shields and, of course, the Dragon we already saw, those are going to be tough cookies to crack.
Bad Bunny's Muradin is already up to 13 stacks. Once that quest is completed, it's going to be all the more dangerous when he jumps out of the bush and goes for those engagements. We've seen the most impressive Muradin play, in my opinion, out of Bad Bunny when he's playing in top form and when the rest of the team is coordinated when he goes when the time comes for them to strike. But level 10 is picked up first for HeroesHearth Esports. We're going to see Earthquake. We got Contagion. I like it.
Well, the one thing, of course, that is there, Diablo now has those souls super tanky on that front line. Last rites, will it be countered by a Divine Storm or a Divine Shield? We'll find out soon, as we should be getting that ping momentarily for the next Shrine phase. The Shaman Camp in particular, I want to talk about, see if HeroesHearth does pick theirs up early. So what we'll see potentially from Method is a lot of teams will use their Shaman Camp. They'll stall that cap until the Shrine is about to spawn, even when it's top lane, because it's the midway point. When you control that midway point, it allows you to control team fights. And so to me, this is going to be a very different approach from Method, and you get the early advantage for HeroesHearth. But when Method gets their Shaman Camp, look, once it gets past that halfway point, allows them to have aggression, especially in these early engagements.
And for the first time in this series, it looks like Team Method is the more flat-footed one on overall macro, but the Shrine is going to activate. Level 10, level 11 picked up for both teams. Bad Benny looking out in the flank, throws the Stormbolt, goes investigating, doesn't find anything. But HeroesHearth Esports, they don't hold on to the Bruiser Camp. They allow Team Method to clear that out for free, and now Method's own is starting to push through the lane.
And this is the control that I was mentioning, is that now they're forced back. Crowan is able to stay in, Tether doesn't land, but they're forced to clean up some of that. They're fighting out there. Dahaka with the Brush Stalker in. There's going to be the stun. Bad Benny able to make his way out. The expulsion zone. Find some time. Short cooldown. Ishbu seeing if he can make a play, though.
Overpowered, no shadow charge. We got HeroesHearth Esports starting to back up. 15 defenders and rising for Team Method. McIntyre goes through, just misses the drag on Bad Benny. Carson's there one way or the other with the sustain. Ethereal. The longer these team fights go on, the heroic last rites is going to be all the more dangerous for heroes like Ishbu and McIntyre. So far, both of these teams are just kind of moving up, but not hard committed.
Well, that early advantage when HeroesHearth was busy dealing with that lane. 20 skeletal defenders were picked up by Method. They'll tap, they'll re-engage. They're looking for a fight. In comes the Hero and team. There's going to be the drag, the land. The Dragon is out. Here comes the fire. Will we get the setup? It's time. The D-Shield is out. Here comes the Earthquake. Down comes the Salvo. Unable to take anybody down just yet.
Both of these teams, let's press our R keys, everyone. Oh, McIntyre's the burrow. I don't know if that's going to be long enough. The last right's going to get one stack. First hero to get taken down is Dahaka. Frozen Punisher is subsequently picked up by Team Method. There's the Stormbolt onto the back line of HeroesHearth Esports. Crowan is going to be able to get out of there. Once Team Method went back, hit the well, and resurged, it looked like an entirely different team.
I think he was lucky, and they're instantly following up on the stun. That is a very tanky Diablo. So unable to get more. The resets on the span of knives. My goodness, Nick, calm down, man. Stun just missing as the sidestep comes out.
A slight silver lining to the dark cloud for HeroesHearth Esports right now is that last rites was used on Dahaka instead of Diablo. If they did lose Diablo, that beefy front line becomes infinitely more thin. being able to hang on to those 100 souls is huge. There's the containment disc. They're going to stand around Crowan and be like, we found you, buddy. You're gone.
They've had such tremendous setup with that Maiev containment disc taking over in a lot of ways, just setting up the next kills over and over as we've seen throughout the day. Method does have that 2-kill to 0 advantage. They did get some structures down, and despite no forts down on the side of Method, that experience still relatively even. McIntyre, that's a 0 ping right there, because he's like, I see that hammer, I'm going to go underground, I'm fine.
Yeah, that Stormbolt was coming in the hard way. Level 13 is picked up for both of the teams. Over the course of this entire tournament, Jay, one of the things that I've noticed about HeroesHearth Esports is that when they have to back up, their positioning isn't exactly ideal. Anytime we do see them back up, more often than not, Crowan is caught in the front line. It's like the decision's being called, but the rest of the team isn't moving, and it allows opportunities. But here's an opportunity. Low health bar. We're going to see Team Method lose Muradin. Bad Benny gets blown up.
Look, sometimes I think you just need to see a kill to make sure that you can get that confidence back, because they committed a lot to that. That was several heroics, including the isolation. Post 13 Muradin got that healing static value, but hold on, McIntyre, he's got himself another one. That's going to be a takedown. Perfect play there. McIntyre waiting in the bush. That is not where you want to find. First one was over, you know, you have to commit to it for HeroesHearth. Second one, that's a bonus. And that's just stellar play and positioning.
This is the McIntyre's Dehaka that I normally see whenever I watch him stream or when I watch him in the HGC. He goes fishing, he finds mouthfeel, another takedown, more momentum for a momentum-based team. HeroesHearth Esports, for the first time in this game, are starting to lean forward with their decisions.
They also got the experienced leaders trying to establish control here in the mid lane. Taking down that well would be nice, but sticking around too long, especially when the expulsion zone, no minions there, getting tethered and pulled in, not worth it in the eyes of HeroesHearth. As we start to look towards the rest of the map, we already see HeroesHearth moving back towards that Shaman camp. See if they time it any differently this time around, because that next Shrine, Haloran, is going to be in the middle.
As far as power spikes go, level 13 getting picked up for HeroesHearth Esports enables McIntyre to get Primal Swarm. That added 10 armor reduction is the difference more often than not between a hero being taken down like Muradin or making the escape. That added help for Phoenix is going to be big.
HeroesHearth was able to pick up that well there, which is a big thing, because that's one thing you use that self-cleanse. It's on a short enough cooldown. It's like, man, I really hope I don't walk into the wrong bush. That's the, what, McIntyre, are you here? Okay, I'm coming in. So making sure to get that self-cleanse. But getting that well down, that was the turning point in the previous fight in that top. Method, they disengaged, they got a small lead, went back, tapped well, came in, and re-engaged after those well taps. Now they won't have that to their advantage, at least in the mid lane, unless they look for it elsewhere, barring some crazy fight.
I like how both of these teams are waiting in bushes, waiting to see someone step across the line. Bad Benny and Ishbu both make their name on being able to find those out-of-position targets and in the team fight before it even begins. This is going to be another critical moment going into the mid to late game. Both teams hit level 16 at the exact same time. All hands on deck. All resources. Dehaka burrowing in at any moment. The Shadow Charge goes in. We're going to need to see Dehaka. Lightning Breath goes out. Arthlon's going to get knocked back by the expulsion zone. Bad Benny lands the Stormbolt on a BBJ. No takedowns just yet.
No, but we have the Cleansing Flame in response. The small lead for HeroesHearth, but the fight is still raging on as Ishbu, he's on the front line, gets knocked back. D-Shield was used to try and save Crowan there, make sure that he could warp out. Dragon about to expire, still about 5 seconds left on that, and that's starting to pay dividends as they've caught up in the skeletal defender race. Ishbu,
Nick steps back in. BBJ's the target. There's the stun. Bad Benny's looking for a takedown, and Thero shows up on the back line. Also, Uther is going to turn into Casper the Ghost. Ishbu looking for a turn response, possibly. There goes the root. Shadow Charge goes in. There's the lowered armor. Bad Benny is going to be able to dwarf toss the expulsion zone, convert the Mortar Punisher, and Crowan just gets out alive.
And now we're going to see Ishbu finally get the reset on those souls. He's trying to get away. Oh my goodness. Getting that spell power bonus, that fire stomp, but he is out of mana, which I don't think he has enough to retreat. See if he has enough mana to get one more stomp. He does not. And finally, Diablo the Demon taken down. Punisher doesn't care about that mid fort, by the way. He's on his way back as Arthlon and team baited him over.
Jay-How, from the rest of this tournament on, I'm calling Nix Maev Thanos, because anytime he pulls someone out of position, they don't feel too good, Mr. Dark. He's having so much of an impact on these team fights. It's all hands on deck. Everyone from HeroesHearth is trying to respond to that, and that's enabling players like Athero to go ahead and close out these plays. So many different things coming at HeroesHearth Esports at once, but Nick is definitely going to be the standout.
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't surprised at that engagement for HeroesHearth to begin all of that chaos, because it's Ishbu. He dove in super deep all the way to the enemy side of the map. He doesn't have the domination, doesn't have the reset. He's super tanky. This is new Diablo, but traditionally Diablo's best advantages on that map are to simply hold the midpoint, dare somebody to step forward, and if they overstep, you bring them to your side. You don't always have to go to their side. So a little surprised with that engagement. McIntyre comes into the bush. Not able to find an engagement, Method retreats.
Team Method seeing what they can get, but once HeroesHearth shows up, they understand that they're on even talent tiers and a bit of ways from home. So they decide to back away. McIntyre goes in for the long-range dragon, finds Bad Benny for their trouble. There's a stun, there's the follow-up lockdown. BBJ's dropping the hair on Merman in his face. That is going to be one takedown. HeroesHearth are on the move.
Look, if McIntyre's like, I'm willing to guess that Bad Benny's anchoring here, throws a blind drag into the bush. It's just, it's heads-up plays. You start to see things. You study your opponents. You know the general play style of different tanks. If that's something, a different tank, you know, you might not expect that style of play. Muradin, he's a great anchor, gets that thunderclap. But now we see that elongated tongue post 16. You don't have to walk as close to say, hey, I wonder if I can check this. You can check that from further back. He went fishing, found himself a Muradin.
This guy's Sherlock Holmes. Anytime he's playing Dahak, he's going fishing and finding things. I would not want to play Clue against this guy. Shadow Charge goes in. There's the overpower. ADRD is going to be the target. Expulsion Zone is going to save his bacon. It is for the moment. Alex Draza hits the skies, and now it's actually BBJ on the ropes. Has the self-divine shield, and it's going to be enough to finally get Zari.
Well, they got the flip over back onto BBJ, though, so Athero ends up getting the kill, and now there's the reset. Phantom Knives. Nick is going off here. There's going to be the armor and the ghost heals. Those are about to expire. McIntyre trying his best to get out of there. He is walking away. He hops under, misses the tether, but there's going to be a last rites confirming the kill of the spray as you walk away. Cool guys walk away from explosions.
The no-look last rites. Athero's trying to make some highlight reel. Doing a good job of that. 7 takedowns to 4. That was an instance where HeroesHearth Esports, they wanted to try to make something happen before level 20 got picked up. The response was there from Team Method. Nice job trying to go in on Azari. You come away with that, but when you lose 3 heroes, you're operating at a net loss.
Take another look at this, because the cleansing flame that came out, AD already able to survive. The expulsion zone went down in time, else that drag holds on. It was really crazy because there were so many plays here. Crowan blinking out just in time as containment does, but right here, Ishbu ends up flipping Athero back over into BDJ. That's where that came in, but then Nick just, he's like, watch me press Q a couple times and your health bars go away.
There's so many different threats here from Team Method. If it's not Bad Benny jumping over and landing a Stormbolt, it's Nix Maev yanking someone out of position. Anytime someone gets low on health, we see Malthael waiting in the wings. Nothing would make him more happy to get another stack on that last rites. 20 defenders rapidly rising. Level 20 is around the corner for both of these teams, but at this rate, Jay-How, HeroesHearth Esports might be worrying about their top keep.
They will be indeed worrying about that. They baited over the last Punisher very well. They have the capability of doing the same here. Level 20, Method, you know they want that. They also want the Shaman camp that will be behind this, because HeroesHearth won't be able to push back in. So just with 1 remaining, they'll get that Shaman camp. They will be looking for keep. If they get 1 pick, maybe another. We've already seen the setup there. They will be looking for more than just the keep, and that could potentially be the core. Now, this is the preparation. Here could be the final push, but HeroesHearth, they're going to be able to hold on. They're going to have camps de-pushing the other lanes as they pick up 20 themselves. And here we go. HeroesHearth, can they hold?
They don't even need to use Dahaka's Global to get on even talent tiers before the principal elements of this Punisher starts to show up. Arcane Punisher, unlucky roll of the dice as far as Punishers, along with this Bruiser Camp Method are again looking for the Death March.
The minute this Punisher jumps, look for Bad Benny to follow and see if they can capitalize on that, get a stun in, and then potentially more containment disc. Here we go. See if they can time this around. Expulsion Zone has Diablo isolated. The cleanse is going to be there. D-Shield forced to go out. There's the Punisher. They got to to be in position to bait this over again. Will they have it as all of a sudden the tethers come in, the lightning breath is out, the contagion hits multiple members, but everybody right now on Method somehow surviving.
Purification Salvo does so much work, but so does Last Rites. Diablo is going to be back. He had 100 souls. Crowan gets the shield proc to be able to live to fight another day, but the gambit of the lightning breath is not going to be enough to stop the advance of Team Method with a healthy Punisher. With everything they've got going for them, Team Method looking to go up 2-0 in its best of 5.
They didn't bait it over. BBJ wants to die here. He wants to be that Ghost of Uther. He wants to come back, provide those healings, try and win this team fight behind it. Ishbu staying alive for now. Will he be a casualty? Athero with a nice leap over the body block. Shields have now fallen 90%. The Diablo somehow survived their Method, staying in position. They get the containment discount, 70% and falling. HeroesHearth, can they hold here as Method looks to close it out?
The overpower on the Nick. There's the double pull, of course, down to 40% and rapidly falling. Can HeroesHearth do this? Can they stop this push?
There's one.
Two
There's
heroes down on the side of Team Method. Oh no, the core's at 15, continues to fall. HeroesHearth Esports are giving it all they've got. Can they save this game?
8% falling. Bad Benny's trying to get it. He does not get it. HeroesHearth has held here. 6%. There's still. Remember this. HeroesHearth picked up the camps in that bottom lane. McIntyre instantly go. They got this. This was set up. This is not by accident that they needed something to counter push. And now they are going to march their way across the map. Try and see if they can close this out. I do not think they can hold. This is going to be a race here. HeroesHearth, they are at full throttle as they come in here to the bottom lane.
HeroesHearth says, heroes never die. They're feeling absolutely heroic. Being able to save this game, a 6% core gives them an all-or-nothing shot. They cannot stop. They have to go through this. With so many death timers still racking up for Team Method, I think they're going to be able to pull this game.
There is the threat of catapults on the other side. We'll see if they can go. They are on a timer. They are backing away. They don't think they can do this. They don't think that they can hold. The catapults are too threatening. They get the keep Haloran. They are not going for it, and now Method, 6% is all that stands between them and a victory, and the threat of catapults here. I can tell you it would take 1 to 2 shots by those catapults, and it would be all she wrote. Instead, HeroesHearth, they trade out keeps. We regroup here for HeroesHearth. They've held for now. Can they hold longer to try and turn this game around?
Well, my heart rate's up. I can say that for sure, Jay Howe. HeroesHearth Esports seem to have done the impossible by being able to hang on to this game. And when they made that stop, the audience, you could feel the motivation and everyone going behind them. That has to help HeroesHearth Esports. They're like, we get another team fight. Whip that bottom, keep taking down. We can advance. We can win game number 2. It's going to come down to one big team fight or a potential pick.
Whoever wins that team fight, it is game over. The good news for HeroesHearth, after that last Punisher was in the top lane, you know it's got to be mid or bot. For them, mid lane, it's the quickest to rotate over to that top lane to potentially defend against those catapults. Ishbu holding point, but Method, they're looking for a pick of their own. If they get eyes on anybody, see if we get the fire stomp. Right now, he's staying mounted. Bad Benny, see if he's willing to commit. There's one fire stomp. Crowan in the bush. Crowan gets the warp out, does survive. That was a tense moment. You cannot afford to go through there. Unconquered Spirit, we're not sure if that's still on cooldown yet. Remember, that was used in that last fight. It is a long cooldown. See if he can regroup. And now the forwarding position of HeroesHearth. See if they can find something.
That was scary to say the very least. Nick is going to get spotted out with the pings. The next shrine is going to activate. Tense is definitely the word to describe this situation. Bad Benny waiting in the bush, does get spotted out by Ishbu. McIntyre still waiting there, seeing if he can get a drag on Athero potentially. But every decision, every move, there's the drag, there's the lowered armor. Bad Benny, he has the avatar, he's getting the sustain. There's Alex Straza keeping Muradin alive. The lightning breath is doing so much damage, but so far Method is hanging on.
They're getting in. The dragon has landed. Also, we can look for that to come into later in the game. The contagion. We'll see if that actually is used. Kron holding on. They're pushing back. Right now, the forward position. We have catapults on the core of Method. We will keep an eye on that right now. As HeroesHearth, they still need to take this team fight. That should be cleared up. But right now, 70% falling, 60%. Those catapults are chunking. One of them has died. Right now, 50%. I think that should be cleaned up, but the catapults are wrecking. HeroesHearth is trying to take this fight right now. D-Shield was used. We see the dash out, the charge out, and nobody has really established control over those skeletal defenders. That camp in the top lane still defending, but the core of the side of Method has fallen to 36%. it. HeroesHearth still on the aggressive side as they go in.
HeroesHearth is outgaming the
Arthelon
macro
going
on
for
Team
core.
Method, but Crowan is on the back line. Is he going to take it
Arthelon.
down? He somehow manages to escape the core. 36%. The shield is starting to go up. There's a shadow charge on the Ishbu. Has this gambit, has this hold him in the mid lane and let the Winions do the rest. Paid off for HeroesHearth, or has it blown up in their face?
I think it just exploded horribly. That call was to go backdoor the core. Arthelon got slowed by the keep. That allowed Bad Benny to jump in, land the hammer, and then get the takedown. They wanted that backdoor, but now they found them in the bush. The self-cleanse has bought time. BBJ, he is on the front line. He wants to die. Salvo's going to be there. Crowan, he does not survive, and HeroesHearth has fallen here in game number 2. A call I have never seen in my life, for you to backdoor in that fashion, a risk that did not pay off for HeroesHearth.
That was such a bold strategy Cotton move that I thought I was watching the sequel to Dodgeball. They gambled it all on Arthelon going in for the core like that. It's going to cost them big time. But Method, they're not looking to just march across the map and in the game. So there is potentially, theoretically, another opportunity for HeroesHearth to keep this game alive. They have a healthy keep in the mid lane. They've done a serviceable job of stopping the Punisher before. Everyone's going to be alive again. They could do it again.
Murden is anchoring. They're going to threaten back. I thought for sure Method was going to march to core just in at 6%. I thought they could melt that with the Zarya, but they're going to back up. Zarya has Hearth, 36 of those skeletal defenders. They will finish that. Arthelon, this could be it. HeroesHearth, they're going to have one more stab at this. Dahaka holding position. Ishbu and team, they've at least forced Zarya and, okay, this game could go on. They made a perfect play to keep Murden and Zarya back to make sure. Now this is only a 3-man push. They could just as easily bait this over and survive another onslaught. We are 26 minutes and counting, and this could go even longer. There's the first bait over, containment disc out on Diablo.
The more they can keep this Mortar Punisher on non-vital structures, the better for HeroesHearth Esports. There's the pull. Nick finds McIntyre is going to start to back away, but Thero continues to chase. Lightning Breath goes out. Not going to be enough to set up the takedown, but Alex tries to hit the unfriendly skies for HeroesHearth Esports. There's the Divine Shield. Ishbu starting to back up. Mortar Punisher down to 40%. Method with only 6% on the enemy core, they could do this.
They could, and I think that they should. BBJ, he's going to be the first to fall, will provide those ghost heals, but there's a big stun there as multiple comes in. Dahaka the first to fall, the Punisher's still alive, but Diablo has now fallen. The Ghost of Uther and Crowan not enough, as now Method finally makes their way onto the core. Once the shield falls, this is all she wrote. Method able to secure a 2-0 lead here in this best of 5, and it was not without a little bit of drama.
J-How, drama is real. I knew we were going to see fireworks in this matchup. Team Method, HeroesHearth Esports, some of the most dynamic teams and players that we have in the HGC. But I'm about to lose my voice with how much I'm hyped about this match. That was insane.
The core call, the core hold, the backdoor, that will be a moment that HeroesHearth will look back on and just question, was that the right call? Did they have the right positioning? When I saw Arthelon just trying to sprint between 2 keeps and the response by Bad Benny, I thought, all right, well, this isn't going to go too well, and they committed to it. It ended up unfolding. They tried to fight back. They had one last stand, unable to do so. HeroesHearth, they came up short here in game number 2.
HeroesHearth Esports are going to have one more chance to keep their dreams of making it to day 3 alive. But we're going to go back to the analyst desk. We have to have a ton to say about game number 2.
Well, game 2 between HeroesHearth and Method got interesting. Dramatic's a good way to describe it. Started off pretty normal, then HeroesHearth falls behind, but they're very used to that. They start to come back, they get some kills, then it seems like the final push with the Shrine, and then chaos.
That is a very good word for it. Chaos,
Yeah.
mayhem. Words I'm not allowed to say on stream, but that was insane. For starters, a fantastic defense. You were talking about it as we were sitting here together, that once Zarya was dead, where was the protection on that final push? And then that counter push, trying to sneak through after the catapult pressure, was crazy, Caldor.
I mean, before we are focusing on all the chaos that it really ensued in this game, there's one hero, one player on the side of HeroesHearth that I really want to point out, and that's McIntyre. I think that his Dahaka play was absolutely stellar, and he created so many possibilities that were fantastic. But here's a completely different scenario that we're now having as our replay. So take a quick look at the minimap. This is a situation in which we're actually seeing down here Dehaka already trying to burrow in. So that's one of those moves with McIntyre, is trying to push catapults in. But this is an interesting position now. We have a big fight happening right over here, but you can see Arthelon here. And his idea is I can sneak past, go towards the core, no one sees me, I hide in the fog at this point, and together with Dehaka, I can take the core down with the help of the catapults. Doesn't quite work out as intended, as you will see in a moment, because Bad Benny is paying attention. Benny sees him, and he says like, dude, you're not gonna get past here. So Arthelon is trying to sneak in, and here comes the jump, a quick storm ball in the middle of two keeps, and Thrall just gets deleted. But that's also because there was a really good game sense on the side of Method. If Benny doesn't see that, then Thrall is going to take a beating there, but he makes it through. And if he makes it through, that's going to be a threat. But Benny pays attention, Thrall comes out of fog, he's like, wait a second, you think you can actually get past me? Forget it, dude.
If Arthelon had made it through, like you said, with McIntyre already putting pressure on the bot lane, the core weakened by the catapults, that could have been an entirely different game at the end there, but the quick awareness of Bad Benny really shut that down.
I want to say awareness from Bad Benny, but also this game was insane. When you get down to 6% on the core, you start having to make insane choices to make those kinds of decisions in that kind of pressure situation. It's an elimination match. Those kinds of things are going to happen. So like you can look at that and say, yes, he was caught there, but it was great sense from Benny, and they had to do something. HeroesHearth had to keep Method on their side of the map, or 6% core is just indefensible at how low it is. So unfortunate for HeroesHearth, disheartening to say the least, but for Method, really good chances now that they're able to continue on in this tournament. We're going to head to a commercial break. We'll see if Method can close out the series 3-0 after this.